Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monkey of the Morning. I'm your host, the Ranting Monkey. He's Jack. Say hello, Jack.
Hi, everybody.
Jack, how the hell are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good enough. Let's move along with the show. I was just out there petting Phoebe. She's so cute. The one problem is if you pet her when she's laying on the floor, she will immediately attack. So I'm a little scratched up, but otherwise I'm good. So, Jack, you know who's not good?
The nope, not saying that word. I don't know. It's a mystery.
the U.S. border on the southern side.
Yeah. We're letting America get sodomized by a bunch of illegal aliens.
Now be careful. We got to not be racist. We got to not because apparently Mexicans are race now.
Yeah.
Again. Oh
Still.
my god.
Unless they're bad ones, like somebody they don't like George Zimmerman. He was a white Hispanic.
Like Fuentes.
Yeah, Fuentes.
Well,
all those other white supremacist ones.
We ended up hearing that it was racist again because can we get both links in there, comrade? Jack, John Kennedy, one of my favorite senators, a couple days ago, there was a hearing on spending, and he said some things. And they didn't go over well.
Or did they?
They went over just fine with me, if I'm being honest. But I thought it would be fun because we haven't got to do it in a while to just watch the full exchange. We're going to read about it afterwards. We have the article where we get the reaction from the Mexican government, which is kind of important, I guess. Just for what's the word I'm looking for here? Context,
I guess.
But thank you, Comrade Kitty. It's important for context. However, I'm more interested in what Kennedy had to say than what the Mexican government had to say. Because if I'm being honest, fuck Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about them.
Look, if we really want to stop illegal immigration, what we do is we say we're going to shoot anybody that comes over the border illegally and then stop all money going into Mexico.
Yes.
Every time there's a wire transfer from somebody working here and sending their money home, seize it and use that money for border construction and defense.
100% tax on it.
Yep. It will absolutely get Mexico's ass in gear because that is a huge chunk of their money.
Well, here's the thing. They're like, oh, not all the illegals are Mexicans. True. But you know where they're
Mexico.
They're all coming through there. And it's not like Mexico has a giant southern border. They could close their southern border very easily.
But they make a lot of money off of it.
Yeah, they do. All right, so let's go see what it was that Mr. Kennedy said wrong. Before we do, it's a good time to remind you guys, we are brought to you by you. Hit the like button, the share button. If you would, consider donating to Jack or myself. Link is at the top of your YouTube chat, thanks to the wonderful Comrade Kitty. And it's also in the description of the videos on YouTube and on Rumble. Jack, we've had some very good numbers on Rumble, and I'd just like to thank all the folks who are watching us over there.
Absolutely.
So thank you. That's not to say I'm not thanking the people who watch us on YouTube, but our growth over there has been a lot better than I expected. And it's continued growth. Unlike YouTube, where we get screwed constantly, we're just growing and growing and growing over there, which is really cool. So thank you guys who are making that happen. We really appreciate that. All right, so sparks fly when John Kennedy mercilessly grills DEA administrator. This is from Forbes. It says Forbes right there. Forbes has become one of these places almost like C-SPAN. They're almost better than C-SPAN a lot of times. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they've been doing a pretty good job.
You don't get the full thing very often, but they're giving us a lot of clips of stuff. And, this is the FBI. This is not the FBI director, Chris Wray, but he was up there testifying in front of the Ways and Means Committee, or the Appropriation Committee, subcommittee. And this chick, I forget her name, it'll pop up on the screen. She's the DEA administrator. And John has some good questions for her. Some questions that should be kind of easy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Administrator, the two cartels that are sending fentanyl into the United States are located in.
Hang on. I got this on double speed because that's how I was listening to it earlier.
Yeah, can you turn the volume up at all?
No, it's as high as it goes.
Oh.
So you guys will just have to turn your volume up a little bit. Sorry, guys.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Administrator, the two cartels that are sending fentanyl into the United States are located in Mexico, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it a fact that we could stop those cartels in their tracks if President Lopez Obrador would invite American military and or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with his military and law enforcement personnel?
Now, I have a problem with this, Jack. I get why. I've even suggested, send our military in there. We can stop these cartels in a couple of days. They have machine guns that they welded into the back of trucks. They're not running around with rocket launchers and shit. We could just flatten their little areas where they're doing this shit, and any of them pop up, we put them down. I get the reason for asking. Do you hear music?
No.
Should I be hearing music?
Probably not.
All right. We'll just ignore that. But I do understand the desire. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure that's what we should be doing, It's not like we haven't had the DEA working down there with them for a while. They've been involved with the Mexican government for a while now.
Yeah.
Unofficially. So it's not like the war on drugs is, oh, Sir Addie. Thank you very much. Yeah, for the donation, just says, Monkey, what's up? How you doing? Ignore the voices. It's not voices. It's really low music.
Are you sure it's not like a tab you have open? You might be hearing the fan I have on.
No, this sounds like music from a video game.
Do you have anything running?
No, I don't even have anything open.
Did you take your headphones off to see if it's some external noise?
It's not. It's I don't know.
Well, if it tells you to do things, don't do them.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best not to listen to them. The cartels are probably 50% CIA anyway. At least part of them, sure. It's just, to me, it's another one of those us policing the world kind of things. And while this does at least affect us, I just feel like you can't undo that once you've done it. Is there any place where we've been invited where really bad shit didn't happen? Yeah.
Nope. Antarctica? Yeah. No way.
Maybe. I just feel like it's going to end up being more than just going after the cartels.
If we would just annex Mexico, we could solve a lot of these problems.
We absolutely could. We could. And we could teach them English and it'd be a lot better for them.
Fact.
We'll get in trouble for that one later. Let's get back to this.
You get blamed for everything I say.
Senator, what I would say from my...
Trebs Gardner, thank you. Monkey hears boss music. Must be the stairs. Fair enough. I need to close that. That should not be open. There we go. All right.
Purview as the head of the DEA.
But is my statement true or not?
What I would say is that we're focused on the two cartels, who we believe are doing exactly what you say. They are responsible for the fentanyl coming.
Let me ask you again. If President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and or American law enforcement officials to come into Mexico to work with the same in Mexico, we could stop the cartels, could we not?
Senator, I believe this is a whole of government effort and has to be, including whether it's the military, us,
Now,
FBI, and
Madam,
others.
Madam,
He's asking a very simple question. If the president of Mexico, that's who he's talking about, Obrador, or whatever the fuck his name is, invited the U.S. To go down there and work with their military and their police, couldn't we stop this? That's a very simple question, Jack. You can even say no. You can even say, hey, it's deeper than that. It's harder than that. You're oversimplifying this, and it's not going to be as easy as you think it is.
But Monkey, a lot of bribes come out of there. So
Now, how dare you?
So look, maybe she's getting a kickback on these drug sales. I don't know.
Just because that's how the CIA funds its operations doesn't mean that there's any kickbacks, Jack. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Are we still pretending that the CIA doesn't get its money from drug sales?
I think we are still pretending that.
Oh, shit. That's my bad. My bad.
Administrator, I've listened.
Faithless, yeah, easy answer. It would depend on the terms of the arrangement. That is true, yeah. There's so many good answers in the session. Yeah, it's going to take the whole of government, and she's talking about our government. We can't do shit to stop this because, one, we don't have the will, and two, it's happening in Mexico. What the fuck do you think? You know, we could go a long way to stopping it, Jack, but it would back up the border ridiculously because we'd have to search literally everything coming across.
Well, we just stop letting things across. How's that?
You know what? Remember when NAFTA was falling apart and Canada tried to do that shit with us? Well, we'll just crossings won't be allowed. And who did that hurt? Wasn't us. Yeah, do that shit with Mexico. Mexico makes a lot of money off of us.
I'm telling you, if you shut down the border, put a bunch of military dudes there with 50 cals to frighten away the rabble, start seizing all the money being transferred down to Mexico, and start arresting anyone employing illegal aliens and barring the illegals from ever becoming citizens, a lot of this shit will dry up. Yeah, there might be a few dead people, blah, blah, blah. Cry me a fucking river. I don't care anymore.
Well, look, we're talking about stopping fentanyl right now, which has caused a massive increase in drug deaths.
And who's carrying all that fentanyl over? It's the illegal immigrants.
No, how dare you?
Yeah, we stopped that. We stop a lot of the fentanyl problem.
It's coming here on balloons.
Yeah. Well, the Chinese aren't making it, but they're sending it to the drug cartels.
Yeah. It's made in China, put together in Mexico.
Yeah.
Until you hear for almost an hour telling us how bad fentanyl is. Thank you for that, but we know.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you a third time. If President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and or law enforcement.
Can I just say, Mexico, how come your president isn't named Rodriguez? That's a much better name.
Obrador's cool, but the hyphenation kills it.
It's not as good as Rodriguez. Vasquez is a good one.
Vasquez is a good one. Ramirez is my favorite Spanish name.
They should do it like the kings of Europe, where they get to pick their last name, except for it's forced upon them, and it's something cool like that instead of Obrador.
Yeah.
Obrador sounds like, I don't know, a chip.
You want proof that Ramirez is the cool Spanish name? Go watch Dark Knight, the Dark Knight, and when Batman gets information out of Eric Roberts, or Commissioner Gordon, he said, "Who's the other one?" He goes, "Ramirez."
Ramirez.
That clip, I was like, "Damn, that's so badass." When Eric Roberts says that.
Ebony says this is a weird tangent. This is not by far a weird tangent for this show.
Yeah, this is probably the most normal tangent, which is why it seems weird to you.
Indeed. It's disturbing in how normal it is. All right, let's go.
Personnel to come into Mexico and work with the same in Mexico, we could stop the cartels. Isn't that a fact?
So, Senator, I can speak to the law enforcement side of this, and you just mentioned law enforcement. I believe that this is
No, but he mentioned law enforcement within the context of working with the Mexican government to stop the cartels, sweetie.
She doesn't like that, so she's gonna just ignore that and do whatever the hell she wants.
vital for both Mexico and the United States. Mexicans are dying as well, as we showed in the Chapito.
Well, then why don't we stop them?
So
Would it help? Let me ask you a fourth time. Would it help?
I love how he did the blinking and shit and shaking his head. Let me ask you a fourth time.
I like how
love
your
this.
avatar is sitting perfectly on that dude's neck over there.
Oh, is it? I don't
Yeah.
have it brought up.
If President Lopez Obrador, I don't think it's a complicated question, Madam Administrator.
It's
You're
not.
asking us
It's
for
not a
more money
complicated
every
question at
year,
all.
more money, and it gets worse, worse, and worse. You know, in the real world, the nitty gritty of the real world, when you
what?
fail, you get fired. In government, when you fail, you get more money.
That might be the truest sentence spoken this week, certainly in Congress.
Yeah.
In the real world, when you fail, you get fired. In government, when you fail, you get more money. That should be on every campaign slogan that the Republicans run. Although, I mean, they spend more money than anyone. But, you know,
Well, they don't like winning either, so
Is obviously you need it. Now, let me ask you a fourth time. If President Lopez Obrador, and I'd appreciate an answer, if President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with his, we could stop the cartels, couldn't we?
I believe, Senator, that we can stop the cartels.
Okay, have you made that suggestion to President Biden?
If I could, I believe that we can stop the cartels by
Have you made that suggestion to President Biden?
Senator, I have been very vocal in the whole of government setting on the importance of fentanyl, and all of us using every single effort and authority that we
Why
have.
hasn't President
this bitch gives the most government answers ever.
oh yeah, it's how they maintain their jobs. They just continue to not answer any direct question. It's something our government mastered back in the 90s.
It's an easy fucking question. Have you talked to President Biden about this? I've been talking to everybody. No.
Whole
bitch.
government.
The whole of government. The whole of
There's-
government.
There's a hole, all right. Somebody's getting pounded.
Biden done it? I mean,
All right, now this is the part you guys got to really pay attention to. This is the shit he got in trouble for, Jack.
this is the way the American people, whose sons and daughters are dying, look at it. Our economy is $23 trillion. Mexico's economy is $1.3 trillion. Ours is 18 times bigger. We buy $400 billion every year from Mexico. Without the people of America, Mexico, figuratively speaking, would be eating cat food out of a can and living in a tent behind an outback.
They already do that. I mean, they're illegals.
But is he wrong?
He's not wrong. Mexico has all the resources they could ever need to be a superpower. And look how they squander everything because of their corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Their inability to no, not finishing that sentence.
Well, a lot of it goes to what you were saying earlier. I mean, a lot of the money that goes into Mexico pours in from people sending money back home.
Yep.
We have shut down the border, stop any kind of trade with them, and see what happens. We have a ton of leverage when it comes to Mexico.
Oh, absolutely. And put a travel advisory on so nobody can go down there. Like tell everybody that, you know, it's not safe, you have to come back, that sort of thing. Put a travel advisory up and stop all the money going down, and they will respond very quickly.
Again, going back to NAFTA for just a second, when that got renegotiated, blackface up there in Mexico, blackface up there in Canada was like, no, how dare you? president of Mexico at the time was that Fernandez.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh hell yeah, whatever you need."
Yeah, because he knew what was up.
He realized how much their economy depends on us. So, if what Kennedy's getting at here is we have the leverage to talk to the president of Mexico and go, "Hey, dude, this is a problem. We can help you solve it, or we can just, cut you off." By the way, apparently what he just said was racist in some manner, which I'm really not sure how, but we'll get to that when we get to the article, Jack.
Yeah. Real quick. Thank you, Frosted Glass. I could listen to this man say incredibly Mexican names in an antebellum Southern accent all day. Yeah, I know, right? Like, I don't know what it is about this guy, but he entertains me to no end.
Oh, God, yeah. Faithless says Joe Biden could not make that deal, though. I don't think Joe Biden has the will to make that deal. We saw what happened. I hate to keep going back to the NAFTA thing, but it's such a great example. Democrats oh my God, you're going to crash the economy. The Mexicans there's no way the Mexicans and Canadians are going to go along with this.
And look how fast they bitched out.
Yeah, because Democrats are weak-willed pussies.
Yeah.
They just are.
And so are Republicans these days.
I hear you, but with Trump in the office there doing the deal, things worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
And if he was there, if this was something that you supported, this would be the way to go about it. Be like, hey, it'd be a real bitch if we stopped letting money travel to you guys through this wire transfer stuff. That would suck, wouldn't it?
A little bit.
So why don't you and the president, embarrassing no one, get on the phone and call President Lopez Obrador and make him a deal he can't refuse to allow our military and our law enforcement officials to go into Mexico and work with his to stop the cartels?
You know, he made reference to The Godfather right there. And I think as much as it would be nice to turn off the faucet to the money supply, leaving a dead horse head in his house might be just as effective.
From America.
Why don't you do that?
Senator, what I am doing every single day is working with the incredible men and women of DEA who are risking their lives across 300.
Stop it.
No, he's besmirched the honor of the DEA, who doesn't seem to be actually doing anything.
Let's see. How long's the DEA been around?
Oh, wow. Since what, 70s?
And since then, we've had the crack crisis, the meth crisis, the fentanyl crisis. What do they do?
Look busy.
What?
1973, the DEA was founded.
They took down Escobar. Good job.
Well, they had local help for that.
They really did, despite what you may have seen on Netflix.
Yeah.
34 offices worldwide.
And I appreciate that, but you're not doing what would work. Why won't you do what will work?
Senator, why
don't you call the president this afternoon and say, Mr. President, let's call President Lopez Obrador privately and make him a deal he can't refuse. Because we both know that President Lopez Obrador has neither the ability nor the will to stop the cartels.
I think you answered your own question there, John. Why won't our president, do this? Since Obrador doesn't have the will or the ability. Well, John, our president doesn't have the will to do that.
Or the vernacular. It got quiet. Too quiet.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, I was down for a second. I'm back. There's not much more of this to even watch. I'm going to throw it into chat if you guys want to catch that last minute of it there, or almost minute. And then we're going to switch, Jack. We're going to go read about how racist John Kennedy is.
Bum, bum, bum.
For what he said there. Alan, thank you so much. He says, hello, monkey. Hello, sir. Hope you're well. All righty. So close that one. Oh, you know, I could have just switched tabs. I have that ability, Jack.
You do, but just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I just want to say from the outset, Mexican is not a race. Just needs to be said, Jack.
You don't know. You don't know
I
that.
do. Thank you, Frosted Glass. Now listen here, Mr. Gomez Labrador. And John Arnett, thank you so much. Who says, how racist is he? He's not. He's not at all. If it weren't for America, Mexicans would be eating cat food out of a can and living in a tent. GOP Senator John Kennedy sparked diplomatic row over racist migrant comments. Now, for the record, he said, figuratively speaking. That was literally the next two words. Figuratively speaking. Kennedy made the explosive remarks, and I don't want to read the bullet points because we're going to actually read the article for a change, Jack.
Oh.
A top Republican has sparked diplomatic row. Is that, how do they say it in Britain? I want to be nice to them tonight. Is it row? Row. A diplomatic, I just can't. I'm trying. A diplomatic row your boat with Mexico after he said their citizens will be eating cat food without the United States. Well, he did say figuratively because actually what they'd be eating is probably dirt.
Yeah, they won't be able to afford cat food. That's just expensive.
GOP Senator John Kennedy was labeled as racist by the Mexican government after his explosive remarks on how to crack down on drug trafficking. The Louisiana lawmaker said Wednesday during a hearing on Capitol Hill that the Biden administration could use troops to swoop in and break up the cartels because Mexico was so dependent on the U.S. This is a horribly written article because that is not at all what he said.
No, but it doesn't surprise me that the Mexican government was more upset about him saying something mildly offensive than the actual substance of the drugs.
Right? Now, what he said was that working with the Mexican police, and we do this in a lot of places, Jack, where we go and work with their government and stuff.
Including Mexico.
The DEA's already been, never mind. The CIA is really involved. But
mostly with the cartels.
I wonder what had happened to the CIA budget if the fentanyl problem stopped.
But they'll just find someplace new to sell drugs.
They'll just find a new drug. That's what they do. They just find a new one to unleash on people.
Yeah, they'll give us AIDS 2.0 or something.
Yeah. But what Kennedy was getting at is to send our troops and police to work with their troops and police.
Real quick. Thanks, Alan, who says, and yours, Jack. I appreciate it, man. Hope you're doing well.
Without the people of America, Mexico, figuratively speaking, would be eating cat food out of a can and living in a tent, said Kennedy. He's not wrong. Our economy is 23 trillion. Mexico's is 1.3. Ours is 18 times bigger. We buy $400 billion every year from Mexico. What is that? We are a full quarter of their economy?
Yeah, it sounds right. Probably more, actually.
It's just under a quarter. If their economy is 1.3 trillion and we buy 400 billion, it's just under a quarter.
Yeah, but that's only what we buy, not the money transferred to.
Oh, sure. That does not count all of the money that gets transferred that way.
Yeah, or people on holiday, that sort of thing.
The 71-year-old was grilling DEA chief, not agent, Ann Milgram on her efforts to stop deadly fentanyl doses entering the U.S. on Wednesday. Hey, look. She works every day with the wonderful, isn't the adjective she used, the incredible, the super-powered DEA agents to stop this stuff. And she talks to everybody in government about it. I don't know what else you expect her to do, Jack.
Like her job. Yeah.
Well, she's the head of the DEA, so her job is pretty much to let drugs flow and pretend they do.
Well, no, see, they let the drugs come in and then they bust Americans with them and then take all their stuff through civil asset forfeiture.
Yeah. They'll find some young black kid in Brooklyn and bust his ass. Meanwhile, the guy who made the drugs in Mexico or China, we won't even look at them.
No, why, that would be racist, monkey.
Yeah. Kennedy's comments to a sorry, Jack. I'm trying.
No, that's all right. You want me to take over?
Yeah, could you?
Yeah, hang on. Let me pull up the article.
Sorry, guys. I'm having trouble concentrating on anything right now, especially looking at it. It's causing issues. I'm all right. It's just my brain going. I probably shouldn't have just shook my head like that.
Yeah, you absolutely should not have. Real quick, thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite. After World War II, the feds launched Operation, I can't say that word, slur for Mexicans, to get the board under control and save jobs for returning American GIs. Now they want the border open to allow for sex slaves and cheap labor. Anyone asking what's happening to unaccompanied minors once released? Yeah, we didn't get to that, but apparently sex trafficking has been a real problem with some of those kids.
Yep. And we knew that when the Democrats tried to be like, none of these kids are not really with their parents. Meanwhile, we know a ton of them aren't.
All right. Where'd we leave off in the article?
If you scroll down under the first chunk of pictures, it's right under there. It's like the second or third.
Mexico's top diplomat. What is behind these ideas and those who promote them? Ebrand said. That's the diplomat Marcelo Ebrand. Racism against Mexicans and in general all Spanish speakers.
All right, time out. There are white Spanish speakers. There are black Spanish speakers. I dare say there's probably even Asian Spanish speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Good night to the anti-whites. Thank you so much. Lock up the last names of the border lawmakers. Oh, sorry. Look up. Wow. Look up the last names of the border lawmakers. I mean, well, we have several that I understand who you're talking about. Go ahead, homie.
Meanwhile, the country's president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, told Mexicans in the U.S. to vote out those members of Congress with such views. That sounds like election interference.
It really does.
Tell our countrymen, Hispanics, our American friends, not to vote for people this very arrogant, this very offensive, and very foolish mentality, he said.
Back up. Your countrymen should not be voting in my election, sir.
Yeah, why would Mexican citizens be voting in our election?
Tell our countrymen not to vote for people with it. You mentioned the last sentence sounded like election interference.
Yeah.
This sounds like a big election interference.
Well, I mean, they already did invade, so why not election interfere too, I guess.
And you're not going to tell me that wasn't, thought about when they wrote that.
They don't care.
All right. So I was just going to say, so the Mexicans are flat. We know that the government of Mexico has told people to come here. They literally made up a pamphlet for it. And now they're telling them, hey, this is how you vote once you get there.
Yeah.
But look, Jack, there's never been any election interference ever.
No, never.
Never.
YouTube says never.
Never. Sorry, go ahead.
The spat blew up as Republicans in the House of Representatives signed off on a draft law that would revive Donald Trump's now axed border wall. Those bastards. The bill, narrowly passed by lawmakers on Thursday, also calls for the hiring of 22,000 new Border Patrol agents to stop migrants sneaking into the U.S. They're not migrants. The so-called Secure the Border Act, which makes it more difficult for them to claim asylum, stands little chance of becoming law. Yeah, fuck Congress. Democrats.
Well, That's because it has to go through the Senate, and the Senate's run by the Republicans.
Yeah.
It probably won't even get brought up for a
Well-
vote in the Senate.
Yeah, that's the next thing they say.
Oh, sorry.
Democrats control the Senate, the upper house of Congress, which is almost certain to be voted down.
Well, again, this is what I'm glad I interrupted. Schumer can just leave it on his desk. It doesn't ever have to come up for a vote.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They will, though, just to vote it down. The White House also warned that Joe Biden will wield his presidential veto to kill the bill if it manages to squeeze through. In a response to the expiry of a COVID-era emergency law known as Title 42 that made it easier to boot out asylum seekers without even hearing the case. Title 42's, but yeah, we all know what Title 42 is. Border Union officials say detention facilities are already overcrowded, piling more pressure on the Biden administration. No, they're just releasing people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw what that judge said earlier.
No.
There was a judge came out and said you can't just release people without a court hearing date. And the administration went fucking apeshit, apparently. Let's see if I can find that.
They'll find a way to do that. They'll be like, it'll be like grabbing one of those tickets with your turn number on it.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, some of the court dates that are coming out are from like 2027.
Oh yeah, because those courts are backed up like fuck all because we have so many of them in here.
Yeah.
You know, this is true. You know, we need more. We don't actually need more if we kept these fuckers out. The reason that things like legal immigration take so long now is because we don't have enough judges because they're dealing with this shit. We have so many of these fucking illegals in here. They're spending all day, every day doing this.
Yeah. Border shelters in El Paso, Texas are already being overwhelmed by the vast numbers of migrants coming in, with some being forced to sleep on the streets. Frontier Town is one of many that has declared a state of emergency.
Real quick, I just want to bring this up. I saw Texas is looking to pass a bill. I think it's SB 14, I think. And it'll make it so that you can't get mutilated. You can't mutilate children in the state. And the Democrats, this is their response to that. If that passes, families are going to have to be broken up because they're going to have to go to Mexico to get their children mutilated.
Well, you're going to take your kid to Mexico for a procedure like that? That's insane.
I wonder how many of them belong there anyway.
Probably quite a few.
All right. Did we want to read more of this?
No, that's the crux of the article.
Okay. So there it is, guys. John Kennedy is racist because he thinks we should stop the fentanyl. And he pointed out that without us, Mexico basically flops.
Yeah, they'll spiral into full third world status. I would like to cover this article real quick while we're on the topic, though.
Do you want to send me the link so I can put it on the screen?
I was just going to share my screen.
Oh, that works too. But before you do, I want to ask the people in the audience, if you lost a quarter of the money you make, would you be okay? For some people, they could be, Jack, if you make enough money. But most people, if you lost a quarter of what you made, you'd be screwed. And there's nothing racist about pointing out without a quarter of their fucking income, they'd be eating cat food and living in tents.
Yeah.
So they can go fuck themselves. Anyway.
Federal judge blocks Biden from administration from releasing migrants without court dates as Title 42 expires.
Why are they releasing him without court dates?
Because then they can say they're on parole, and then they've been processed. Then it's not an illegal immigrant. They're under review or bullshit like that. They can fudge the numbers.
All right.
A federal judge on Thursday evening blocked the Biden administration from implementing a policy that allows for the release of migrants without court dates, just hours away from the end of Title 42 public health order. Judge T. Kent Weatherall II, that's such a judge name, imposed a 2-week restraining order on the Biden administration policy, which would see migrants released on parole with conditions. The policy was outlined in a Border Patrol memo this week, which says that migrants can be allowed into the country on parole, a process typically reserved for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit, like overwhelming our system, if Customs and Border Protection faces overcrowding. The memo.
Real quick, thank you, Dixie Rose. You mean another quarter? Sure.
The memo calls for the practice parole with conditions as migrants are required to make an appointment with Immigration and Customs Enforcement or request to notice to appear by mail. So they have to schedule their court and or request a notice to appear by mail. The government doesn't want to actually do that, so they just leave it up to the honest immigrant to do it. Under a parole release, migrants are rapidly released into the country, do not get an alien registration number, and do not receive a court date. See the problems with this?
How? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you guys again. If you got in trouble with the law in some manner, do you think they'd be this nice to you? I mean, maybe if you lived in New York City and you just stabbed somebody, but otherwise, do you think that the court would be just, come in when you can?
Yeah, just schedule a date with us in the future. It's fine. But my problem is the lack of alien registration number. That way they could keep those numbers way, way down. The use of parole is being authorized in a sector capacity goes over 125%. That's every sector right now. If agents apprehend 7,000 a day over 72 hours, or if average time in custody goes above 60 hours. Agents have been encountering over 10,000 migrants a day since Monday.
How are these people supposed to work without an alien number?
They go to Home Depot and hang out in the parking lot. How do you think?
No. I've been told that these guys, they go and they have real work and they pay taxes.
Yeah, well, media lies to you a lot.
All right.
Agents have been encountering over 10,000 migrants a day since Monday, and there are no signs of that slowing down with the looming end of Title 42, which is expected to bring an even bigger wave with it. And according to some accounts, there are 60,000 over the border in one area alone. Title 42, I don't care. For the past 7 days, US BP has averaged over 8,750 encounters a day. This is over double the average encounters of 4,284 in May of 2019, the highest month of the 2019 surge. Even with significant personnel along the SWB, a significant detention capacity, and interagency resources supporting the effort, this situation requires urgent action, the memo stated. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody had sued after media reports emerged of the planned releases, arguing the policy was materially identical to a parole plus ATD policy blocked by the same judge in March. Judge Weatherall agreed with that assessment in his order. Quote, the court has no trouble concluding that Florida has a substantial likelihood of success on the merits because the challenge policy appears to be materially indistinguishable from the parole plus ATD policy vacated in Florida, both in its purpose, reducing overcrowding at Border Patrol facilities, and manner of operation, releasing aliens into the country without first issuing a charging document, placing them in immigration proceedings, and simply directing the aliens to report to ICE within a specified period for further processing, he said. Moody, in a statement late Thursday, said the lifting of Title 42 presents an unprecedented crisis at our nation's southwest border. The Biden administration did absolutely nothing to prepare for that crisis. What?
Keep going.
The Biden administration did absolutely nothing to prepare for that crisis. Then just yesterday, it issued the parole with conditions mass release policy, which is virtually identical to the policy a federal judge already invalidated. These actions demonstrate a striking combination of incompetence and bad faith. I'm pleased that a federal court understood the situation and acted appropriately, she said.
Okay. Yeah, this is my problem with it. We knew Title 42 was ending.
Yeah, they've known for over a year.
In fact, they tried to end it early.
Yeah.
And they had nothing set up to deal. You know, it's almost like Afghanistan. They knew it was coming, and they did nothing to prepare for it in any kind of meaningful way.
You'd have to care for that to happen.
Yeah, I guess. And then they're gonna like Hakeem Jeffries. I don't know if you saw that video. We watched it yesterday, Jack, where he's like, Republicans are making up fiction about what's going on at the border.
Yeah, because he's a retard.
Well, if you don't actually have to count them because you didn't give them their court dates or however they're counting them these days, yeah, I guess it is made up, except for all of those people that came in.
Well, I mean, it's deny. Ignore your lying eyes, and eventually people will believe you because the media is on your side.
Yeah. Fair. All right.
DHS has warned that the blocking the use of parole has the potential to cause chaos at the border, mean more than it already is. And estimated that doing so would result in an overwhelming 45,000 migrants in custody by the end of May. Maybe we should set up some of those FEMA camps I've heard tell of.
Yeah.
The judge said he did not find those arguments persuasive. Putting aside the fact that even President Biden recently acknowledged that the border has been in chaos for a number of years, defendants' doomsday rhetoric rings hollow because, as explained in detail in Florida, this problem is largely one of defendants' own making through the adoption and implementation of policies that have encouraged the so-called irregular migration that has become fairly regular over the past 2 years, he said. This judge is awesome. There's a hearing for preliminary injunction for May 19th. So DHS has acknowledged the plan to release the migrants without court dates. It has rejected the idea that it was conducting mass releases, saying instead that those releases were only taking place on a case-by-case basis. Yes, every single case on every basis. So they're saying that's categorically false. Stepping up law enforcement actions and have searched 24,000 Border Patrol agents and officers, thousands of troops and contractors, and over 1,000 asylum officers and judges to the border. Just yesterday, ICE announced that families who attempt to cross the border unlawfully will be placed in expedited removal proceedings subject to GPS monitoring and removed within 30 days if they don't have a legal basis to remain. So where do they stay for that 30 days? Wherever the fuck they want. That's where. Look at all this trash.
And you have to expect them to tell on themselves.
Yep. Why would they do that?
When they can just disappear into the country, be out there. Fuck, did you see the other day when the not Border Patrol, ICE was doing their raid of not San Antonio, El Paso, and they announced it ahead of time that they were doing a raid for illegals?
Yes. Which has become the norm for them. Monkey. Unlawfully that does. Don't underestimate Joe's ability to fuck up. Yeah. I think Monkey dipped out for a second there.
There we go. Now I'm back.
Oh, yay.
Sorry, I think it was Sav Said who did a video about that where
she's so adorable.
She really is.
I would like to lure her into a relationship with me.
Indeed. It's just gotten insane. I mean, you have the people who are supposed to be going out. And can you imagine, like, okay, we are going to there's this criminal living at 55 Jefferson Drive, and we're gonna go do a raid on his house in about 30 minutes. Nobody tell him, but we're gonna tell the news.
It'll be our little secret. All the live audience and the media and myself. It's a big secret, so don't tell him.
It's so asinine, man. I don't even get it. Homie, I'm sorry. I gotta stop.
No worries.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a very, very short one, but I gotta lay down. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you for the donations. You guys are so generous. We really do appreciate it. Jack, anything you want to shill out before we take off?
No, I'm good.
Everyone, have a wonderful night. Take care of yourselves. And Jack, a pleasure as always.
Always glad to be here. Thanks for the donations, everybody.
We'll see y'all next time, guys. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
I don't want to sing tonight, but I'm doing it for you. That's the end of the song. I hope you get a screw.